This week on Not Sauce for Work, Terry time is off, and Alex the intern is stepping in while only Eagle remains in the studio. Deshaun Watson's seemingly final suspension has been handed out, LeBron and Bronny's futures start to become clearer, and the Montreal Canadiens acquired capital. We also make fun of an old man in a baseball uniform. We'll get into this and much more on this episode of Not Sauce for Work on the Hot Sauce Sports Podcast Network. Welcome, Alex the intern. Thank you for joining me today. It would have been really lonely to do it by myself.
Oh well, thank you for the invite. It's not every time that I get on Not Sauce for Work, and honestly, I finally get to talk to you rather than listen to you talk shit about me.
That's true.
I was going to say, normally when you're talking about Not Sauce
you
for
still
Work
have
and
ears, so
everything.
we're good to go. Honestly, it's been a weird situation. We have some technical difficulties stemming from the fact that 3 times a year we need to rebuild the studio from scratch. I'm at home. Alex, the intern, is at his new home in Texas. And Eagle, you're at the studio.
Yep, I'm here. I'm all alone. And at the end of the day, Alex, the intern, is finally getting on Not Sauce for Work instead of getting off to Not Sauce for Work.
Yeah. Eagle, how annoyed are you that you have to do a show with me just days after having to spend a full day of broadcast with me?
So it's a fun story in that this is usually the point in time where we ignore each other because our creative differences start to come apart, come near the end of our usual broadcast production system, calendar, whatever it is. So this is supposed to be a break from each other, and yet here you are, here I am. At least we're not in the same room, so there's a little bit of reprieve there. But yeah. There's a bunch of events coming up and a bunch of meetings, which I still need to talk to you about. So not super happy about that.
We have a meeting tomorrow morning also, is the other thing. Yep. But it's the real reason I didn't come to the studio is I don't need to see your face right now.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's the main reason. I want to talk to you guys about something because I realized while on vacation, which, by the way, I'm back from vacation finally. I realized something on vacation, and I kind of like using these intros sometimes to talk about stuff guys don't talk about. And one of the things I discovered that guys don't talk about is a condition I like to call saltwater dick. I don't know if this has happened to you because guys don't talk about it. But so while looking up what was going on, I couldn't find any real shared experience on the internet. I found some stuff from medical resources, but nothing for just dudes saying yeah, this happened to me, not a big deal. I had initially asked my brother and my dad who were with me, who in public said, no, this never happened to me. And then both privately admitted this was a thing. So I think we need to destigmatize saltwater dick. So this happens to me now and again. Now, Alex, you lived in California a while, so maybe you became desensitized, but I don't go into saltwater very often. And it turns out, for that reason, I didn't own expensive swimsuits. So I would, go into the beach, take a swim, and then I would keep wearing my bathing suit for too long, and my dick would get super irritated by the mesh. Has this ever happened to you, Alex the intern? The first conversation I ever had with you on Not Sauce for Work. Here it is. Let's talk about saltwater penis.
That's a great subject. So. Let's talk about penises. So,
of course, I'm back from vacation, baby.
So, from my experience, I do feel like your penis feels weird after getting into salt water.
Yeah,
it feels like it shrunk.
Yeah, but that's just water in general. That's cold. That's not anything to do with salt water specifically.
No, that's also salt water. It just feels weird. It's like when you touch your penis after, there's a weird texture.
It does have weird texture.
Yes.
So what I've noticed specifically about salt water as opposed to regular water is that I find salt water makes your balls a little bit more bubbly or bumps on it, if anything. Whereas normally it's much more smooth and everything, right? I've done a lot of swimming in my life. I used to do competitive. I was in pools with all saltwater pools and chlorine pools and everything. But there's something about salt water from the ocean that just makes your balls tingle in a way that I don't know how to explain to an average person. It's like if you were to brush your hand over a lychee or something, kind of like that almost.
Well, do you actually like it though?
I mean, I usually try not to caress my balls in public after swimming, but I mean, to each their own.
But tried and were successful, or tried and failed, Eagle?
No comment.
Okay. So like that's the thing is like I guess that's kind of what happens is like because I'm stubborn and don't want to change immediately, and like bathing suits dry up pretty quick now. I I've kind of experienced that, and then what happens is with my balls and dick, they rub it against the mesh, and now they're sensitive from like whatever happens in salt water, and they get irritated. So all of this, we end up in Corsica. And I've explained all this to my wife. I'm like, yeah, I think I need to actually invest in a real swimsuit because like these cheap ones, it's causing issues for me. I'm not comfortable. It's not great. So when I bought the most expensive swimsuit I've ever bought in my life. It's great. I love it. But at one point, my dad asked me, several times. My mom was there too, and she's asking me like, "What's going on?" I was like, my dick is irritated. Please stop asking me questions about why I need to buy a swimsuit in Corsica. But I did, and it seemed to alleviate the issue upon wearing that swimsuit instead of the cheap one. Moral of the story, don't buy $12 swimsuits on Amazon.
Buy cream as well. You need cream.
Yeah, so the best thing I have, this was a thing from the 90s, and maybe it'll come back because I saw Crystal Pepsi somehow came back, even though no one drank it in the 90s either.
Pepsi
but
Blue.
And Pepsi Blue, I'm sure that's next, by the way. But we used to have this aloe gel to treat sunburn, and I would never use it for sunburn. But what I would do is to treat my saltwater dick. I'd rub that aloe gel, and it was like really cooling and had this great sensation. But as far as I can tell on my searches on Amazon and in Spain, that product either is not available in Spain or doesn't exist anymore.
Discontinued.
So, yeah, discontinued because guys don't talk about their problems. I'm convinced if we just talked about it as a remedy for saltwater dick, it would be a thriving industry. But because guys are disingenuous, that's what happens.
Yeah, they should sponsor us for this advertising.
Yes, absolutely. Bring back the product, and then you guys and Pepsi Clear sponsor the show. That would be awesome. But we got a ton to get to. It is time for the news.
Hold on. I actually had an announcement.
All right.
I actually had an announcement.
I took so long to say that sentence. You could have interrupted me at any time. You waited till the end. But go ahead.
But I wanted to announce this before we get to the actual news. Sports news. So
You're resigning.
I told Terry. Well, Terry knows. I'm going to become a father.
Hey! That's way better than what I said.
Yeah. It's the opposite, little opposite.
So yeah,
that's awesome, man. Congrats to you, Alex, the intern. I can't wait to meet baby the intern. It's gonna be awesome, dude. That's we're really, really proud of you, man. That's awesome.
You're not getting any breaks though, eh? For baby duty and everything. Like you're still gonna have to do your shit. We'll be on top of you.
Yeah. Yeah, don't worry.
I almost made a joke because Eagle found a watermelon in the studio apparently. And I was going to make a joke that what Eagle can do in his spare time is like use it to practice like swaddling a baby and putting on a diaper. Had I known, I would have made that joke full on because, that's something you're going to have to be doing in the next little while.
Joke's on you. I would have thrown it on the ground.
Jeez. Terrifying. So it's time. We had some news already, but Eagle, it's time for the news. Terry, it's the news.
Is it though?
It is. So after months of the Deshaun Watson, filings and hearings, and it going to two courts in Texas. Of course, Texas, you'll know this, having lived there, Alex, is a state that protects embryos more than women. So there was no criminal charges brought to Deshaun Watson, but there was a statement that was released by the first judge that proceeded over this on behalf of the NFL, where he got 6 games. And then now today, or yesterday rather, it was announced that Deshaun Watson would be getting an 11-game suspension and a $5 million fine. Or actually, sorry, it was this morning, wasn't it? The days are kind of rolling into one. But anyway, that all happened. And I guess we'll get everyone's initial thoughts, and then I want to evaluate something related to this. So, like, your first thoughts when you saw that seemingly final suspension come down, Alex.
So I'm going to go on a rant here, okay? Because I still do not understand how that human garbage of Deshaun Watson got 11 games, and Calvin Ridley is suspended for an entire year for gambling $1,500. So
it's very easy. It's very easy to understand because
hold on.
Okay.
Let me put my tinfoil hat on here right now, okay? So there was this rumor going on in NFL, which it's a conspiracy theory, but this confirms it a little bit more. The NFL is scripted, okay? You know why? It's scripted.
Oh my God, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll tell you why. So basically, Calvin Ridley gambled only $1,500, gets suspended for an entire fucking year. Why? Is it because they know that he knows which games who's supposed to win which game?
It's way more obvious. It's way more obvious. It's that the NFL makes a lot of money from gambling. It does not make a lot of money from women. So what happens is Calvin Ridley is involved in gambling. It's a bad look, and they need to show the gamblers, no, we're taking this seriously. It's not rigged like the crazies say on Twitter, so we're suspending you a full year. Deshaun Watson, which you did kind of made us look bad, but we don't care about women, so 11 games for you. That's actually what happened.
But how does that equate to Deshaun Watson, though? Because Deshaun Watson got 11 games.
It doesn't equate to two different things.
Yes, it's two different things, but one gambled, one touched over 40 women.
One can cost the NFL a lot of money, and the other one doesn't matter. Because the NFL doesn't actually care about women.
I mean, let's also be honest here. There's going to be a whole bunch of fans who are like, but whatever, it doesn't matter. They're just women, and I hate to say that out loud, but I'm sure there's a large percentage of NFL fans that actually agree with that statement is the worst part.
Well, if you read the internet comments, it's versions of that.
Yep.
It's not proven. It's not guilty till proven, or not guilty. Proven to prove guilty to
innocent till proven guilty.
Yeah, look, man, it was a long weekend of broadcast, so I'm done with words.
English is hard.
English is hard sometimes, but here's the thing: is the statement put up by Judge Robinson was, she literally said he did these things. The reason why he only got 6 games is because the NFL was so poor at punishing violence against women in the past that the precedent, because again, this is between a corporate body and their unionized workers, the precedent that was set was on average 6 games. So because of their own inability to handle this properly in the past, that is the reason why Deshaun Watson originally got 6 games. Now, I wanted to evaluate 3 statements. 4 statements. Eagle, you want to bring up Deshaun Watson's statement, and I'll read it for the listening audience?
Yeah, sure. Let me get that on screen for you here. Also, by the way, this statement was tweeted by Adam Schefter, the person we said was going to break the news about this, because of course.
Yeah, because he's got the agent.
He's the mouthpiece for the agent.
The agent
exactly.
for the owners, right?
Yeah. You want me to read it?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Eagle.
All right, so this is a statement from Deshaun Watson issued by the Browns. So it says, I'm grateful that the disciplinary process has ended and extremely appreciative of the tremendous support I have received throughout my short time with the Browns organization. I apologize once again for any pain the situation has caused. I take accountability for the decisions I made, clearly not for his throws though. My focus going forward is on working to become the best version of myself on and off the field and supporting my teammates however possible while I'm away from the team. I'm excited about what the future holds for me in Cleveland. And then the statement continued saying, I am too horny to understand what consent is. No, that's not actually true. That's amazing.
Well, at least that one would have been honest. At least that one would have been honest. So I wanted to evaluate this statement, but I want to know what you guys thought was the worst statement. So there's that one that came out. There's the Browns who said after Judge Robinson came out with her findings that he did these things, that they support Deshaun Watson and that he was innocent. There was also the statement the morning of that the NFLPA came out saying, "Well, we don't think he should be punished any further, and we're gonna respect what the judge comes up with, and we hope the NFL does the same thing." I think that's it as far as statements about this. So, which one do you guys find the grossest, and why? I'll start with you, Alex, the intern.
I'll just go with Deshaun Watson's statement. He's so appreciative that the process is finally over, and he's acting like he's all innocent and did nothing, and he feels like he won this case because I believe he thought he was going to get suspended for over the whole year, or even 2 years for this. So he's really happy.
And he got a raise that will pay him $225 million now because he loses $5 million. So he got a raise out of it.
Yeah, it's a way of seeing things.
Yeah, Eagle, what are your thoughts as to the worst statement of the bunch?
It's hard for me to pick one. The Deshaun Watson statement is just bad, right? But
there's also the Adam Schefter one. My mistake. I did forget one. There's also the Adam Schefter one saying that he was found innocent.
Yeah, we're not doing that one. Like that one is just
okay.
That's
we'll
just
Adam
Schefter being an asshole. So
but did he?
I'm generally upset at the Browns as an organization, as an ownership group, as a professional sports club who essentially said, we don't care about women. We think this is the best thing to make us win games. Our fans are too stupid to see that this is a bad decision for our team from a PR perspective. So we're just going to pretend nothing happened and say we did our job to investigate, even though we completely didn't. When anyone counteracts us, we just scream fake news at them and that we were right, and the entire thing will hopefully disappear. That's essentially what all their statements are adding up to. And I just find it so despicable that this is allowed in today's day and age. And I understand there's an ownership group. From what we're hearing rumors, the other 31 owners are losing their shit on this because it's like, what do you mean this happened type of thing. And Goodell doesn't like it either, which is surprising considering usually he's a little bit more like trying to stay away from things. But obviously we're trying to represent the owners here. So I just find this whole Browns organization, they should be asked about this every single day for the next 10 years in my mind, and it still wouldn't be enough.
Because if you remember, Eagle, kneeling before a game was a distraction, but now we're here. So,
yep.
The Browns.
It's okay though, please. He won't be there for the first 11 games, so he's not going to be a distraction when their season falls apart to begin with.
Maybe they can call Brandon Whedon and have him start some games. But for me, while I completely agree, what the Browns did is completely inappropriate. The fact that they structured his contract to get the minimal penalty, the minimal financial penalty, I found from the beginning was gross. The fact that he's making $1 million, so he was only supposed to lose $300,000 in fines, I find that completely gross. The fact that they went out of their way to acquire him and guarantee the money completely, given everything that was happening, is really, really, really short-sighted. But yet, the statement that bothered me the most was actually a statement by the NFLPA, because they were kind of celebrating. They knew they were going to get a fairly positive verdict from Judge Robinson, and they were kind of like trying to dunk on Goodell, saying like, well, we're going to respect it, so I hope you will. And here's the other thing. I was in Barcelona when I read it. The news broke on my phone. It was 8 a.m. I was going out to get a croissant for my wife. And I'm reading this story, and I'm like, wait a second. It's 2 a.m. on the Eastern Seaboard. They purposely dumped this news in the middle of the night because they knew, while some of the NFLPA members wanted to dunk on Goodell, they also knew this was a really bad look. So that's the only reason you would bury your news in the middle of the night. Because I was, if you remember, Alex, I shared that article and you guys woke up to it. You woke up to it much later because you're a couple hours behind the Eastern Coast as well.
No, I believe I was in I was in Texas, so I'm only Central Time.
Yeah, still just to say like for you,
I know.
It's 8 hours behind where I was, So like for you, it's breaking at like midnight, 1 a.m. sort of thing. So it's a little bit of a strange scenario. I did kind of enjoy the Jacksonville fans chanting "You sick fuck" at the preseason game. That was kind of fun, and I honestly hope at the very least he does experience this as he plays this season.
Well, take it from me, who's in the biggest Ravens fan group on Facebook. When the suspension was announced for Deshaun Watson, they're like the group admin was like, you know what, we're all gonna chant "no means no" during the game because they were supposed to play in Baltimore that week 7, and he's like, and everyone was on board with it. State chants "no means no" during that fucking game, and I was like gonna lose it. That shit was fucking hilarious.
Yeah. The only issue is that when he goes to play in Pittsburgh, they're gonna chant "Ben means So, unfortunately, that might happen. There's another. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the funny thing because weren't the Cleveland Browns making fun of the Pittsburgh Steelers because Ben was, convicted as a rapist.
He was indicted, but yeah.
Yeah, whatever. So they were making fun of him, and then karma hits them back with Deshaun Watson, basically.
Yeah, it's just I know we've talked about this before on the show. I know that I was at one point the Miami Dolphins were pursuing him. I was really conflicted. I don't know if I could have cheered for the Dolphins. And I know Tyreek is on the team and he had his issues with domestic abuse. I'm not saying one's worse than the other, one's better than the other. I'm just telling you how this made me feel, and the fact that like it seemingly went without punishment. I was like, I don't know. I didn't feel good about it. But it won't be my problem. So we'll have to see how that goes. But there was another football story that kind of made its way through social media in the last couple of days. And weirdly, it's a story from 2012. The Untold series came out with their episode, a 2-part episode of The Girlfriend Who Didn't Exist, the story of Manti Te'o. So how old were you when this happened, Alex?
Well, what year was it again?
2012.
2012.
10 years ago.
I was 18.
18. Okay. So I was 28, 29. And so I remember this is when I started taking an interest in sports media and started working with Eagle and flag football and that sort of stuff. When that story happened, I was like, well, I didn't know what catfishing was. The internet was far less sophisticated than it is now. One of the things you see when you're watching the documentary is they're recreating the text messages being sent, right? Or Facebook messages being sent. And there's a subject line. So his name, and then you put the subject of the message and then the subject. It looked like you were sending an email. And I was like, oh my God, that's true. Facebook messages used to have a subject. That's how long ago this was. So the interesting part to this, of course, is that Manti Te'o didn't know what was happening. It kind of broke around the time of the Heisman ceremony where he was invited but didn't win, that she wasn't real. And there was suspicions that he was involved in making her up. And that allowed him to fall to the second round. And the thing beyond all of this, which I find surprising, is that one of the guys in the documentary, like one of the friends, was like, "Oh, your girlfriend was in a car accident in whatever city, California. And so he Googled her name, car accident, and the city, and got no results. You know how hard it is to Google something and get no results? And so like, he's like, well, that's weird, but whatever. And like, okay, he's not a journalist, but for like a whole year, ESPN and the New York Times, real journalistic entities. Well, at the time, ESPN was a real journalistic entity, but like real journalistic entities didn't do the basic research to be like, oh, his ex-girlfriend died, and she had a car accident, then she had leukemia, and his girlfriend like died during the season. Let's find out who she was. And like Manti Te'o doesn't go to the funeral, which is really strange, and nobody looks any of this up. That there's not a picture of Manti Te'o at his girlfriend's funeral. There's not a record of her existence or of her passing away. Just a really, really, really strange situation at a different time of the internet, obviously, you know.
Manti Te'o, that story was a special case because, first of all, okay, look, as a man, I'm not sure even back then, you do research on people who message you on Facebook, right? So you
message people he knew that knew her. Like that's the thing. Like if some girl hits me up is like, and like I check her friends list and like, oh, she knows Alex the intern, she knows Eagle, she knows Terry, and be like, hey, you know this girl? Like no one knew her well because her like name and pictures were like stolen from another Facebook profile, right? So they're like, yeah, I know this girl, she comes to my school, or yeah, I know this girl, she works at the store down the street, you know, like, but they didn't know her well.
I do remember back in those years it was a bit easier to catfish.
Yeah.
Right now, it's
literally didn't know what it was.
Exactly. Well, unless you watch the Catfish show right on MTV, I'm pretty sure they had the show on MTV, right? Eagle.
It came out like right before this happened.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much right. It was a movie actually, and then afterwards they did the show and everything.
Yeah.
So the woman who catfished him, she identifies as a woman now. She was saying that she got a lot of like the excuses to not meet up. She got them from the show Catfished. Like the excuses that the guys the people used, she was using the same exact excuses. Oh, I can't FaceTime. I cracked my screen. Oh, I'm trying to FaceTime. I can see you. You can't see me. Like that kind of stuff.
What was the end goal for that chick exactly? Just troll him?
So what's complicated is it's kind of woven into her story of not being able to be honest about her sexuality. She had a whole bunch of members of her family that were ex-NFL players, and she was expected to be like an NFL player also, but it wasn't true to her identity. And part of it was also she seems to be a horrible, selfish human being. Like those two things can be true at the same time. She had issues with her identity, but lots of people do and don't entrap people. There was a story, there was a podcast that my wife had me listen to maybe 3-4 months ago. It's called Sweet Bobby. It's about a woman who was catfished by another woman for like 20 years and like essentially kind of ruined her from every relationship she could ever have and all that. And like it wasn't for money. It was just sort of like this woman wanted to see how far she can push it, how far she can control another person, it seemed. And that selfish aspect seems to be core to this kind of behavior.
Well, yeah, I mean, back in those days you'd get that, but nowadays the catfishes you get Nigerian princes.
Yeah,
basically still pictures of women and then pretend they're women nowadays on Facebook.
But I mean, also just to kind of like throw a wrench into this. I mean, okay, you're not Tim Tebow and everything, so you're trying to keep yourself a virgin your entire like high school career, in college, and everything like that. Like Manti Te'o, it's 2012. You're having an online relationship when you can literally bang any chick you want. So are you just not banging them to begin with? And you're like, oh no, this girl is avoiding me. Like, what's wrong with you? Come on, man.
So go ahead.
Maybe he has a small penis. Who knows?
It's possible. It's definitely possible.
Self-confidence is a thing, man. if you
Yeah,
if you
maybe
didn't
he
have
had that
any
saltwater dick.
confidence, yeah, exactly.
Maybe he had saltwater dick that he got in South Bend, Indiana. No, but one of the things that they brought up, and it's
All the
similar
bodies
to
of water on Indiana for sure.
one of the things that him and his family brought up was that for like Hawaiians and Samoans, there's like pressure to find like girlfriends and stuff in your own culture, and so she was posing as a Samoan woman, and um like I in the Sweet Bobby documentary, it was about South Indians, and it was like a similar pressure that she couldn't just go to a bar and meet people, so she relied on the internet and her community to meet people. And it's the same. It more often happens to people who have pressures of community on them in a way that the guys on the show don't never had that pressure in our lives, so it's never been that way. you know. But the next thing I wanted to get to was my beloved Miami Dolphins. We'll touch on this really quickly. It's
Ah,
it's a complaint about the Dolphins, but really it's a brag about myself. So um, the Dolphins lost 2 draft picks trying to get Tom Brady to be part owner of the team / quarterback of the team. And this is a story that ESPN started covering while I was on vacation in Europe. This is a story I wrote about months ago on hotsaucesports.ca, where I was covering the Brian Flores situation and spoke to someone in Dolphins PR who then just started telling me this whole story about Tom Brady. And I was like, this is weird. And I included my story and I talked about it in the show. And even Terry at the time was like, I don't know, Pease, this kind of seems far fetched. But look at that. That's the thing that happened. This is why you should follow Hot Sauce Sports, because we do real journalism, and that's an example.
yeah, you should sue ESPN for that, man.
It'll never work. It'll never work. It's so annoying. We picked a hellscape of an industry. There's no journalistic integrity. They'll never credit anybody who doesn't work for them. It's the worst.
But let's talk a bit about Stephen Ross. That guy is special. He's weird. Okay, so
All of us
first,
are weird.
yeah, but he's a little bit more weird. So
Okay.
I'm just kidding, man. So
No, it's
he
true though.
he wants his team to purposely lose, which it came out in the Brian Flores thing. Then he had a what was that racial story about him and Brian Flores? It was
So the problem
yeah,
is
yeah, the
that
tempering, yeah, the tempering.
tampering and that essentially what Brian Flores was saying was by having him um, try to lose games, it would prevent him from getting future jobs because on average, black coaches get less second chances. They have shorter coaching tenures. Their contracts are not honored as long as white coaches. So he didn't actually just sue the Dolphins. He sued all 32 franchises as part of a attempted class action suit.
And the third thing is the Brady thing, where he tried to recruit Brady and stuff.
Not tried, by the way. It was fully on. If you notice, so one of the things that's key is remember at the time when Tom Brady quote unquote retired, he never said the word retire. And also remember how he didn't say goodbye to the Patriots? He just
Yeah,
said goodbye to Tampa. It's because he wasn't retiring. He was trying to leave the Bucks. The plan was he was going to go to the Dolphins and then as a part-time owner, and then at some point, if Tua was doing well, great, trade Tua as an excellent asset. And if he's not doing well, trade him as a mediocre asset, and then bring Tom Brady to save the Dolphins as one more spit in the face to Bill Belichick. But more importantly, it allows him to get ownership in a NFL franchise in a city where he just bought a giant mansion.
so with all this going on with Stephen Ross, is he fit to be an owner right now?
Yeah, of course, they all do this. This is not like they're all garbage humans who've cheated to become billionaires and now will cheat with their toys. Like that's why does this surprise you? Billionaires are not good people.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I guess when you're rich, you're evil, right?
I mean, you have to make certain moral compromises to get to that level of equity, and then if you've made those so it's a there's a concept that I can't think of the name of in this moment, but there's a moral philosophy concept where there's a window, right? And the size of that window increases or decreases depending on the moral choices you make. So once you make a choice that's immoral, it becomes easier to make the next immoral choice, right? So like for him, if he's cheated the SEC for years and years and years and has done whatever he could do to become as rich as he is, why would he think twice about cheating the NFL? It's nothing compared to like withholding taxes.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like cheating on your math exam, right?
Yeah.
It's,
Before you know it,
it's,
you're taking math.
it's some concept, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Um,
I guess
so
yeah. So every owner cheats. That's
yeah,
that's news to me.
it's a look. Let's not pretend. I always say this about the NFL. Stop showing me a brothel and telling me it's church. Like I'm okay with it being a brothel. Just don't lie to me. um, are you still a Lakers fan now that you moved to San Antonio, Alex? Or are you migrating?
Look, at the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of my heart, I'm still a Lakers fan. However, I now follow the Spurs just a little bit. I'm not a Spurs fan, I'm just following them. But I do love the fucking Mavericks. I want to see where I want to see what they can build around Luka Doncic, and I feel like they can build something nice. I hope they don't mess it up for him. Poor kid, honestly.
Eagle, did you not train Alex the intern on what a segue is?
Nope.
All right, cool. Because we're talking about the Lakers, not the Mavs.
Oh, LeBron James. Let's talk about LeBron James.
Signs an extension. Um, it is somewhere in the vicinity of I think $97 million for 2 years.
It can actually go higher than that with some extra bonuses, or I believe it's
Yeah.
if the salary cap gets increased, his contract also increases with it or something like that. Yeah, so
Correct.
he
As
is
well
a
as
very, very,
50%
very rich
interest
man.
gets paid.
Okay, now do you think that extension is actually a signing trade for like let's say next year?
So he can't be traded until February 17th, 2023, which I believe is after the trade deadline.
So next summer.
So he would be next summer, I imagine. I think it's done purposefully because it would align with my thinking is we also saw that Bronny James didn't get any offers till recently. The only offer was seemingly from Oregon. We know that Phil Knight has a relationship with the Oregon Ducks and obviously a relationship with his top salesman, LeBron James. And so I think it was just sort of to not show their hand. But I have on pretty good authority that LeBron James has actually been working with he's been working with the NBA PA to try and remove the 1 year college requirement, so players can go straight from high school into the NBA, which means Bronny can get to the NBA a year sooner, which would mean he would be able to enter the 2023 draft. So if that's the case, he has the flexibility to ask for a trade, although it will cost the team 15% more against the cap than because there's a 15% cap hit added to his salary if he gets traded because LeBron is not eligible for a no trade clause in his contract. And then if he goes to where I think is going to actually happen is I think he's going to play a year in the G League instead of playing in college. And then he's going to join his son wherever because he'll be a free agent and money won't be an issue anymore.
Yeah, so LeBron James, I do believe he wants to absolutely play with his son, right? That I believe that's his end goal.
He said it. He said it multiple times.
Yeah.
Like if you're him, why wouldn't you? You have championships. You're the top earning player of all time with $571 million, $1 billion. Sorry.
But let's be honest here for a second. Is Bronny James a NBA player? Like,
Yes.
do you envision him as an NBA player?
Yes.
Because I see him as a G League player.
Well, he's going to start in the G League. Like I said, he's going to G League next year. Like that. Part of the reason I don't think he's going to college is the G League actually prepares you better for playing in the NBA because you're playing pro ball. And if you're not going to be an absolute standout star, why not make a salary, go to the G League, play pro ball instead of amateur ball, and go to the NBA? We're going to start seeing that more and more, and I think Bronny's a good example of that.
And have you seen his son?
Just from LeBron's perspective too, if his lifelong dream is to play in the NBA with his son, do you really think he's not going to have pull of a GM to say, get me this guy, put him as the 11th man on the roster? He'll ride the bench the entire season if I need to, but put him 2 minutes on the court with me every now and then just so I can say I'm on the same team as him, we play together, right? And LeBron will gift him a championship.
He's not going to be a lottery pick, but he's good enough, I think, to make an NBA team. Like to your point, Eagle, I think he's a guy who can probably be a contributor. Best case scenario, he's a contributor for 10 years in the NBA. But what's going to happen is the NBA, after the top 10 picks, you're kind of guessing. Like the top 10 picks are very valuable, and then after that, it's kind of a crapshoot. So if I'm the 14th team drafting, and I'm going to take a chance on one of four guys, but one of the guys I could take a chance on also brings me LeBron James, helps me sell LeBron James jerseys, helps me maybe even win basketball games, because at that point I think LeBron will still be a decent basketball player, even if not at the level he's at now. Why not take that opportunity?
So you're right on that. I do think. Look, I do think they'll end up playing together, and it's a PR move. They want them to play together, and whichever team gets them, honestly, congratulations, you just upped your revenue by 50%. I think that's what's going to be the situation there. However, my hot take on this is that Bryce is actually better than Bronny.
Oh,
what do you think?
He is better. But, of course, he's a bit younger, so it depends how he develops. But his body type looks more ready to take the next step. And I think he's a more skilled player. But we'll see how that goes. The Montreal Canadiens are making some moves. I'm happy because I think this means they're going to suck for a couple of years. And I've been kind of begging for the Habs to stop trying to build the ship in the air. They keep trying to rebuild, kinda. They keep trying to keep everything afloat and that make some clever moves to push them above and beyond. That doesn't
a Maple
work.
Leafs rebuild.
This is a full rebuild, right? Like trading for Monahan and acquiring a first-round pick is eating salary for Calgary. I've heard stuff that Monahan might not even play this season, which even better.
So let's dissect this trade, okay? So Sean Monahan, he has been injury riddled for the past 2 years. Obviously the Flames wanted to shed some salary cap space because they wanted to sign Nazem Kadri. And based off this trade, they really want to go all in this year and the next couple other years, because they just also signed Huberdeau long term, which the whole Habs fan base thought he was going to sign in Montreal next summer.
No, not the whole. This guy right here, who has a brain, who's functioning. If they would have signed Huberdeau, I think I would have been done with the team. And I love Jonathan Huberdeau. And if they do this shit again, half-assed, I'm done. I can't. Alex, it's 30 years, man.
Yeah, I guess something has to change.
Is it 36 years?
Yeah. Yeah, look at my banner. 93 is last year. We won.
Whatever it is. It's too damn long, man.
So So essentially the Habs get a center, which they can potentially use as a trade chip at a trade deadline. Look, if he plays and he does decent, we can always trade him for a second or third round pick, and therefore we got a first and maybe a second and third by trading nothing. So we got three assets out of it basically. And if
I would
we
trade
don't,
everything you can. Jake Allen, you give me a 5th-round pick, great. Get as many assets as possible. Trade everything. Put a minor league team on the ice for 3 years, please.
and that's what you're going to set a trade deadline. I believe we're going to trade five guys at a trade
Burgers?
deadline. Yeah, five guys. Amazing burgers.
Yeah, indeed.
And they're greasy too. So,
Who are the 5?
Good question. Honestly,
Wait,
Jake
so
Allen,
you
like
just said
you
there's
said.
5 guys and you don't even know who they are?
No, I said up to 5 guys. Okay.
No, actually,
not
you
exactly
said 5
sure
guys.
who.
You didn't say up to. You said 5.
But also, like, even if it's up to you, to
Let
know
me
who
give
these
you the
people
5
are.
guys then. Okay, let me give you the 5 guys. So it's going to be Jake Allen. I
Yes.
believe he's going to be traded. Mike Hoffman. Could be Paul Byron. Jonathan Drouin. I think he's gone. And last one, I'd say Evgeny Dadonov. So that's 5. There you go.
Yeah, and I think we also saw the news that Carey Price can be on.
Yes, I was also getting to that as well. Hold on, let me tell you this. So, Carey Price, Kent Hughes just announced that he is not playing next year.
It is likely he's not going to play next year, is the actual thing. His recovery from his knee surgery has not gotten better. Obviously, last year was a little bit of a wash between the rehab and then the player something program, substance abuse, rehab, whatever you want to call it.
Well, he's going to be on the LTIR, which means we're eating his cap space. And so by getting Monahan, we don't actually need to create more cap space because we're pretty much using Price's salary as LTIR. So, which means,
I mean, it's great for a GM because you literally get your money back and you can do whatever you want with it. It's terrible as an owner because you're spending $10 million to pay someone to do nothing. So,
well, you are paying him. It doesn't count against the cap.
Yeah, so I'm saying as a GM, it's great. As an owner, it sucks.
Yeah.
And now, is Carey Price retiring at the end of the next season? Who knows?
I think so. I think it's so. You would know the contract details more than I do, but at the end of this year, I believe he can either be bought out or his contract is done. Right?
Let me get exactly the contract details from CapFriendly.com.
I don't remember, but I know that there's some relief from the Carey Price contract at the end of the season. I just don't remember the details. Like, this was a big year for the Carey Price contract. I don't remember why.
And Pease, just to be clear on that, right? If you're buying out a contract, that is a decision taken by the team, the organization, to basically execute whatever buyout clause is there. If the athlete, however, retires, there's different terms that kick in given the cap compliance and everything like that, right? Like, obviously, we saw, for example, the story with Shea Weber. There was the whole thing of, well, if he retires, technically because Nashville signed his deal, they have to take a cap hit for that, et cetera, et cetera. So really, from Jeff Molson and the Habs ownership group, they don't want to pay his salary. They want him to retire.
I would imagine.
But it also depends on how long they're planning to go through the rebuild for. If it's short term, then you don't need that cap hit over the first few years, essentially, of the retirement that you have to eat because of it. So you actually do want him to retire at that point. Versus, do you keep him on LTIR, keep paying him, and then of course Carey Price has to go through the whole recovery process, get the physio, basically do all the steps in order to be compliant with the NHLPA LTIR policy.
My belief is that he's on good terms with the organization, so they've already figured it all out together.
Yeah, I think so too.
They're just not saying it, but anyway. Alex, what are the terms on that contract?
The terms on that contract. So let's say the Habs, buy out his contract, let's say June 2023. So if we buy him out next year, so we're going to be paying him 9.1 million for the next 3 years. So from 2023 until the end of 2026, we'll be paying him $9 million for the next 3 years. And then we're going to be paying him $600,000 for the next 3 years after that.
Which 600,000 is whatever,
but we're only saving $1 million if we buy him out next year.
So basically, it is. They need to work out something where they can have him retire and then give him a job doing something and make back the money on the back end. I imagine is kind of what they'll probably do, because the buyout structure there is not really working in their favor. I thought it was going to be more beneficial, but we'll see how that pans out. We'll talk to you, Alex, of course, more when more of the trades and the Montreal Canadiens disassembly takes place. But in the meantime, it's time for rapid fire.
All right, boys, we're going to go through rapid fire somewhat quickly here. Let's try and keep this fast and furious as we normally do. We're going to start with our first one. Pitt, not the GOAT. Antonio Brown has gone after Tom Brady for his offseason decisions in the following tweet, where he goes, Tom Brady manipulate the game, gets 14 days to go home, get his mind right, lol. Now you see the difference. Put that shit on. Does anyone know what that means?
It means he got fired on the spot on the field, and Tom Brady got 14 days to think about his future. But this also coming out like months after Tom Brady made the decision. It's really weird.
So my take on this is that he has CTE, and it's confirmed.
All right, that's one way to look at it.
Yeah, I so wanted for him to be my spirit animal, because like that, I think he took a fake quote where he said that the only thing he regrets is not watching himself. But the fact that he like shared it is like him endorsing the fake quote. And to me, that should be my hero if he wasn't such a terrible human being otherwise. So, damn you, Antonio Brown. I wanted your chaos, and you took it from me.
And just before we go to the next one, please, have you heard Antonio Brown's interviews before, like let's say 8 years ago? He had well articulated sentences during his interviews. Right now, he sounds like he is a vegetable.
Yeah, well, so when people tell me CTE isn't real, like, I'm sorry, man. That game is bad for you. It hurts the body. I love watching it. I love gambling on it. But, man, does it hurt the body.
All right, next. Don't cross the streams. The MLB has decided to not schedule any World Series games on Sundays to avoid conflicting with the NFL. Good idea, bad idea, probably the best idea baseball has come up with more recently.
Best idea
I love
ever.
the wording of this on Twitter, because it's not the MLB's decision. It's actually the broadcast partners who look like, let's say, I don't know, Fox. I imagine it's Fox who has the rights. They look at it and like, yeah, you're not running up against the NFL. Sorry, you're not going to win that battle. It's in the end, it's about money, and it's a broadcast-driven industry. They're going to choose the broadcasts that are most favorable. It's only the most logical thing to do.
Everything that Peace just said, I just think that baseball cannot compete with the NFL.
Yeah. All right. Meanwhile, the NBA has decided to not schedule games on Election Day, actually doing something useful in society. Next, hey, Tony. White Sox manager Tony La Russa received some helpful advice from a fan in the grandstands when trying to figure out how to coach his team properly.
Hey, Tony, run angle. Get angle in there. Get angle.
What the fuck is happening? Time out. Oh, he's gonna pitch Ron. He's pitched. And he called it. And he's doing it. Make him the manager. When he fell asleep. He walks away.
Baseball managers are so fucking useless.
So this shows
They've become decor at this point.
this shows me that Tony La Russa is incompetent.
Well, was it this, Alex? Because earlier in the season, his pitcher threw 2 strikes, was up 0-2, and then he asked for an intentional walk.
There's no way.
Yep, because the runner stole second base. Sorry, the runner stole second base. So he had a free base at first. Decided instead of going at this guy, like the stats of getting a hit when you're down 0-2 work so far. Like I think hitters through time are like hitting 160 when down 0-2. It doesn't make any sense. Even if it's Barry Bonds, you have to pitch him at that point. And Tony La Russa walked him. Now he's basically so checked out. He's literally just taking advice from the audience. It's become whose line is it anyway?
So he's not a analytics guy, right? Is he?
So interestingly, about 20 years ago, when he was an old man, he was pioneering in one of the coaches who actually followed analytics, and now he's become the piece of furniture that analytics has turned managers into. But he was on the forefront of that, and now he's just a crotchety old man.
So he's going against technology, basically.
Well, he just he's been neutered by the thing he supported 20 years ago. It's like you have a son, and 20 years later, that son cuts your balls off. That's what analytics did for Tony La Russa, unfortunately.
True. All right, next. Running back go. New York Jets running back coach Taylor MB said of his running back room, I was describing it to my wife. I feel like it's Pokemon, and you're just sending out your next Pokemon.
Jesus.
So Pokemon got cool, like, slightly after it was cool for me to like Pokemon. So I've actually never seen or consumed any Pokemon. So you guys have to help me out here. I'll let you guys choose it. And then Eagle, I think what we'll do is Alex, the intern, will throw me a running back. I'll just list the skill and you tell me which Pokemon that would be. So
you can pick an element if you want. That could be a maybe easier way to do it.
Great. Sounds good. We'll have Alex, the intern, start. Give me your best running back / Pokemon comparisons.
Okay. You want me to actually compare running back to a Pokemon?
Correct.
Okay, so Derrick Henry, Blastoise.
So that would be a water type then. Because you can't just say the Pokemon. You have to give the reason why.
Okay, well, because he's built like a unit.
Okay, but then there's like 20 other Pokemon that would do the exact same thing. Why Blastoise specifically?
Because his head is shaped like Blastoise too.
Oh, there we go. That makes more sense.
There we go.
So
That works.
just so you can get an idea in terms of who we're talking about here. This guy.
Yeah, I see it. That's pretty good. Those kind of look like his shoulders as well.
Yeah, I can do it.
He has exhaust through shoulders. Eagle, what's yours?
Man, I don't even know.
What? You're the Pokemon guy. You're like our Pokemon analyst.
Yeah, but it's because there's too many of them. There's like 700 Pokemon. Like
when an incident happens, when there's tampering in Pokeworld, we send you out there to investigate those balls.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe like a Jolteon type of thing, because he can kind of like cut and flash around on the whole thing. I don't know.
Pick a Pikachu. Who would Pikachu be?
Who's an annoying little fuck that doesn't actually do anything?
Oh, pick a Dolphins running back.
There we go. So for the record, this is Jolteon, by the way. It's like a little rat.
And who is most like that creature?
I don't know.
Come on, dude. You're so bad at this.
I'm bad at this.
Right,
I'm really bad at this.
Give me a running back.
Okay, Austin Eckler.
What if I tell you a fast brick? Who would that be, Eagle? In Pokemon.
maybe like a Hitmon top type of thing.
Obviously, yes. That's
I think
obviously
that
what I
would
was thinking of.
Yeah.
Based on my lack of knowledge completely. Oh yeah, so much. Yeah. See, I feel like if you throw it
Weird
to that
looking, but
dude
it'll
in
like
the
spin
flat,
around and everything, and he's kind of fast and he'll like hit you hard and the whole stuff. So I can see it.
that's the one. Yes. Throw it to that dude. What's his name?
Hitmon top.
Throw it to Hitmontopple in the flat, and you're good to go. You're good to go.
All right. Next topic here. Looked at his kingdom. He was finally there. The Brooklyn Nets and Ben Simmons have reached a settlement that will look to pay him about $20 million of salary for the season that he sat out.
Yeah, that makes sense. If anything, I see this as a punishment to the city of Philadelphia for being garbage to their players. They've booed everyone. They booed Evan Turner. They booed Iguodala. They booed Allen Iverson. They've booed everyone. That's what you get.
Well, it's no surprise that Philadelphia is probably the most trashiest city for sports. I don't know a trashier city for sports in Philadelphia.
They threw snowballs at Santa Claus. Come on.
That's
That's all.
I mean,
All right, and last one, crashed test dummies. After many discussions about the state, drummies. I'm sorry. After many discussions about the state of the economy, all seems to be going back, and all is well with the latest story.
Got some good news for you just in time for football season. Chicken wing prices have now dropped to below their pre-pandemic levels. The wholesale price is now at a 4-year low. You'll probably remember wings went soaring when the pandemic hit and Americans were stuck at home snacking, but demand has slowed with so many people now returning to work, and also because many restaurants switched from expensive wings to the cheaper boneless
Great
version.
news for Bones with Sauce fans.
That's right. I got some good news for you just in time.
We're ready for football season.
Good news. You know what this means? Let me borrow the hat from Alex the intern, the tinfoil hat. The NFL knows the season is around the corner. You can't have an NFL season without chicken wings. There's no way that's possible. Roger Goodell took that $5 million that he just took from Deshaun Watson, gave it straight to the chicken wing industry, and said, "You do what's right. You do what's right."
And let's just close this segment with this little debate: drums or flats, guys, or doesn't fucking
I'm a
matter.
drummy guy. I'm drummies all the way.
Why do I have to choose? Why can't I get both?
Yeah, that's what I said. Or you don't give a fuck.
No, not that I don't give a fuck. I want both. I want drums and the flats.
Okay, but why though?
Because I get both. Why wouldn't I want both? Like, why would I
We can have
compromise
the
and
same
ask for
amount.
Okay,
get a
actually,
smaller?
please, why drums?
Oh, well, so I have a specific technique to eat chicken wings. My wife calls this my serial killer trade, and it works best with the drummies. What I do is I pick it up, I take the cartilage in between my teeth, and I spin the wing, cracking it all against my teeth, and then I slide all of the meat out. And so in about 0.4 of a second, all you see is bone. All you see is bone. So my wife calls that my serial killer trait. I'm able to clean those up in a terrifying fashion. That's why I go drummies.
I just eat the whole chicken wing, like everything in one gigantic piece. Like I don't try and trim them or try and make it seem like I have more than I need. Like if I need 40 chicken wings, I'm buying fucking 40 chicken wings and not like 20 and cutting them into pieces, right? Like,
But let's say you have the choice, Eagle. You're at my place. I'm telling you, I'm going to give you 40 wings. Do you go flats, drummies, or mixed?
I would go mixed. I go mixed just for the variety.
Oh, you go mixed. You like having the different textures then?
Yeah, I do.
That makes sense.
Yeah, mixed.
What about you, intern?
Mixed with buffalo sauce. They have to be buffalo.
I like buffalo sauce as well. I made some this week, actually.
This is where I would normally plug a supplier of barbecue sauce, but they didn't pay their bill this month.
Yeah, you gotta keep paying. That's why I had to make my own, Eagle. Is no one sent us free sauce. Alex, the intern, thank you for subbing this week. It was a lot of fun. Eagle, thank you for all the production work and for rebuilding the studio. I know it's a pain in the ass. And thank you for putting up with me a lot this week.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, indeed. But I'll talk to you tomorrow morning at 8:15.
Ugh.
I do want to thank everyone who's tuned in, everyone who has watched, everyone who subscribed. We really do appreciate it. That's how we keep the lights on. So please If you haven't done so, continue to do so. So thank you for all of those who did. And most importantly, thank you all for letting me be myself.
You've been listening to Hot Sauce Sports.
Peace.
Now do a little dance because I don't have a screen to cut to.
This is a dance. It's like I'm holding two penises.
That is a pretty good dance, honestly. Are they salty?
The wings?
No, the dicks.
What about the glory?
Oh, less than the wings.